Hello and welcome to the very first episode of the Blorecast, your regular serving of aural entertainment hosted by me, James Blore. You might be listening to this and wondering, who the heck is this bloke? Or maybe you know who I am, but you're curious about why I'm doing this. In the next few minutes, I'll answer those questions, explain what the plan is, and let you know how you can get involved. Who am I? Well, I'm a teacher. Many moons ago, I studied chemistry at Oxford, and then trained as a secondary science teacher. Later, I retrained as an English teacher, and in 1998 came to Slovakia to teach English as a foreign language. I started out in Humene, a small town in eastern Slovakia near the Ukrainian border, and 2 years later I moved to Košice, the country's second city and metropolis of the east, where I worked for the British Council as a teacher and later also as manager. When the British Council closed in 2006, my wife Dagmar and I took the opportunity to start our own school. But what to call it? Now, whenever new students had joined the British Council, I would ask them if they'd studied English before, and they'd often say yes, in a private language school. But when I asked them where, they could never seem to remember the school's actual name, just that their teacher had been Mrs. Kapustova or whatever. So, to avoid any such problems with our school, we humbly decided to call it the School of Blore. Incredibly, next year will be the school's 20th anniversary. These days, I teach both face-to-face classes in Košice and online courses and individual lessons from our home in the nearby village of Vajkovce. Meanwhile, Dagmar teaches after-school English classes in the neighbouring village of Budimir, where she is known not as Dagmar, but simply as Blore, which, honestly, I'm a bit jealous of. Okay. Enough history. Why am I doing this now? Well, I have quite a lot of hobbies, and I'm sure I'll talk about them all in excruciating detail at some point. Spoiler. One thing I'll definitely come back to is board games, from classics like backgammon and cribbage to modern stuff like Catan, Pandemic and Wingspan. Long story short, I was such a big fan of one game that I even made a podcast about it with some friends. Over 3.5 years, we did about 75 hour-long episodes. I did most of the recording and editing and also maintained our website and made YouTube videos. In fact, looking back, it's a miracle I got any actual teaching done. That podcast came to an end when the game stopped getting new content about 2 years ago. But ever since, I've been saying that it would be a shame not to use those skills again. Well, this is me finally pulling my finger out and cracking on. So, what's the plan? Well, the main idea is to create a resource for learners and teachers of English, but also something which is interesting for anyone with an inquiring mind. I'll be interviewing native speakers about their experiences in Slovakia and telling you some stories from my Mr. Bean-like existence here. We'll be covering topics that commonly come up in the English Maturita exam and dipping into current affairs, grammar and vocabulary too. And I'm sure I'll be talking about Cambridge exams since they're a pretty big part of what I do. We'll publish on the school's YouTube channel as well as podcast platforms, and I'll add some short videos zooming in on useful language from time to time. But here's the thing. While I'm a bit of an expert at teaching English and running exams, I'm definitely not an expert podcaster. I used to listen to them quite often, but these days, to be honest, I'm more of an audiobook man. And that's where you come in. What would you like to hear about? Do you have a tricky grammar problem? Is there a word you just can't translate? Would you like to hear more about board games and... Here's my question for you this time. What's the biggest problem you face with English right now? Send me your answers and I'll share some of them in future episodes. You can get in touch via our website, blore.sk, or email us at podcast@blore.sk. If you're listening on YouTube, just leave a comment, and you'll also find us on Facebook. I'll put all the links in the description. So, that's the Blorecast. Thanks for joining me for this first episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and send me your English challenges. See you again soon!